to remember James Vance, who is a longtime resident of Morristown and very active in the Morris School District, who passed away yesterday. So I ask that you all keep him and his family in your prayers.
I'd like to remember Joy Buckfire, who passed away recently and was a former president of the League of Women Voters and was a big community activist in town, and may she rest in peace.
Joy, joy, Mr. Vance. That's what I remember you saying. Mayor reminded me of that this morning. When joy, joy.
Joy, joy.
All right, please stand for the rise of the Pledge of Allegiance.
We have 7 items on the consent agenda this evening. Unless a member of council would like to remove one or several for separate consideration, I would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannicone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing. If there are any members of the public wishing to be heard, I ask that you come before us, state your name, your address, and try to keep your comments to less than 5 minutes. I'll start from my left, going from front to back. So, ladies first, I thought.
Levity. I'm Linda Carrington, 49 McCulloch Avenue, Morristown. And, you know, here's this article from January 22nd, 2016. And what's it about? Airbnb. And so it turns out I came in 2015 in October and gave you pages of photographs of houses and apartments and units that were being rented. So that's 2015. 2016, I was here in February. And in 2017, February, and in March of this year, is in 2017. So my questions to you are, since we have a hotel ordinance, hotel tax ordinance, has anyone contacted Airbnb to collect any data on how many units are being rented in the town of Morristown? How many units and for how much money? How many units are offered in the town? How many are, so they're offered? Or they're rented, so you need to know those two things. And if the state has started collecting the hotel tax as of October 2018, there's a state law that says they're going to collect hotel tax if the town tells them they have an ordinance of hotel tax. Now, I know you've discussed it, so my question to you is, what is the status of the hotel tax ordinance? Does it apply to the short-term rentals offered on Airbnb and other sites? Thank you.
Yes, good evening. My name is Rich Modzaleski. I lived 50 years on Hill Street. Just in continuation of what was being said, I'm wondering if the council members are aware that the state requires a license, a rooming house license for more than, if I'm not mistaken, one separate residence. So that would apply as well to these B&Bs. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but it's either one or two residences, and they are required a state license. And the state license is dependent upon whether the town will accept that. I don't think there's any zoning for rooming houses in town here right now. But I just thought I'd bring that up as a secondary point to what I'm going to be about to say. I have a letter I sent to the town. It was addressed to Ms. Kay for the council and the mayor. I hope you maybe received it in your pamphlet, your folder. I'm going to read it to you if you don't mind. I'm sending you concerns that our neighborhood has regarding the shortage of parking at various times on the west end of Hill Street near Elm Street. Parking availability for the neighborhood generally is sufficient during the day. Considering the signage states 2-hour parking between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday to Friday. This was originally posted to avoid parking for the train. As time passed, a number of apartment dwellers nearby have avoided a parking fee now charged by landlords at their buildings. This seems to be only part of the problem. Of course, as the town is growing and we have more people in town, that's for sure. But various new businesses, such as the Town Bar and Restaurant, when first opened, required workers and patrons to use the Family Services building lot, which is practically adjoining, with which they had an agreement. That agreement no longer stands, as the building's new owners do not permit this. I spoke with one of the representatives of the building yesterday, and that's what I was told. And since people choose not to pay for parking, this portion of Hill Street is a convenient and practical choice, especially for the town bar's labor force, which begins to arrive after 4 p.m. Weekends generally provide no available spaces, since signage permits all day and night parking with no restrictions. On weekends, more people use Hill Street to park during the day and overnight for local restaurants, bars, and trips to New York. These issues have been brought to the attention of various Morristown representatives over the years. There hasn't been any action. We realize how problematic a solution may be, but the neighborhood is deserving of relief. A change in signage could alleviate some of these hardships. Limiting 2-hour parking to end later than 4 p.m. and/or possibly eliminating overnight parking except for residents should be considered. Also, consideration to initiate similar signage on weekends could produce positive results. It is important that enforcement be diligent. As the town grows, its parking needs have increased, yet those like myself have no off-street parking and feel our only realistic parking has virtually been taken away. I hope a solution can help those in our neighborhood as well as others who use our town. Thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, I wanted to, before I end, I just had printed out a sign that's in front of Family Services. I'm just going to pass this around. It has stated on the sign from the rental agency, resident restaurant opportunity. Something to keep in mind, but I don't know if that's the type of thing we should have in our neighborhood, considering the problems we're now facing. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Good evening. Mike Molnar with the Morristown Police representing PBA 43. I want to bring something positive to you all. I'm here joined with Sal Zerzolo and Dave O'Hare of the Garden State Comic Fest. This will be our 4th year helping them out. They also help us out by allowing us to set up a table up front and give something back to the community. We have now for 4 years had an artist draft a print, an art piece, pairing a superhero with the Morristown Police. So this is our 4th year. We have a new print. I have one for each of you.
Wow.
I know the mayor's partial to Captain America, so that for you. The event will be next weekend, the 29th and 30th, at Menon Arena. It's from 10 to 6 on Saturday, 10 to 5 on Sunday. VIP admission at 9. A little shameless plug, but so I have like to just present them to each of you, if that's all right.
Hi, I just want to say that we are thrilled to be part of this community and to bring our flagship event here once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pretty much the same for me, as he said. We love being part of Morristown and this area, and we would love to even grow it more in the future with you guys, if you ever would like to be part of this community. We have so many ideas that could help this community, bring revenue into this community, and show a very safe and wonderful place for the children of this community. This year alone, we donated 250 tickets to the local schools, free tickets for admissions and stuff for kids that did extra, good. So we'd like to continue doing that, and that's about it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Great.
Thank you very much. That's okay, he's later.
I get one too?
Just Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, sure. Yeah, sure, the clerk will make sure that they get it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
It's cool.
Thank you.
That I like.
Cute.
Very nice.
You're getting the first ones, as anybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Faith Teeple. I live at 13 Franklin Street.
Say the name again, please.
Faith
Faith.
Teeple, T-E-E-P-L-E. First of all, I'd like to say it'd be really, really nice if the administration could put a little bit of their development money toward making a proper PA system so that we all could hear what's being said. That would really be a help.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and they're not kidding. They're not kidding. We have a right as citizens to hear when we come here what's being said. It's serious. Okay, I have a couple of,
All you have to do is
does that help? Okay, I have a couple of things. First of all, I can appreciate what Rich was saying about lighting. About lighting, yeah, and also about parking on Hill Street. Because when we drive down to Hill Street and we try to find a place to park, good luck, because you can't. There is none. Unless maybe you drive around for 10 or 15 minutes and then maybe somebody will pull out, depending on the time of the day. The second thing is about the football stadium lights that have been installed in the town hall parking lot here that are like glaring all over. I mean, I can see them from my house, but they're not as bad as they are for the people who face those lights. They don't need electricity in their house at night right now. And when the leaves come off the trees, it's going to be worse. I know they're LED, I know they save some money, they're environmentally friendly, but there was a lack of thought when those lights were installed in terms of their intensity. They can be shielded. There's stuff that can be done about those lights. I mean, you guys have to start thinking about the residents of Morristown. So that's one thing. There's a broken street light on Franklin Street, which has been there for months and months now. I think is that Jersey Central and Power and Light, Tim?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
If it's on the street, it's Jersey Central and Power.
So it's Jersey Central Power and Light?
Should be a number on the,
Just met with them this morning.
okay.
So what's the solution to that? Do I call
Well, there's a
them?
number, so and the public should know, there's a number on every pole that there's a light. And if you see a light, if there's a number, and if there's not a number, you just call JCP&L. But on a lot of the poles, you'll see numbers where there's lights.
There's no pole.
Let me finish.
Okay, finish.
Okay, I know there's no pole, so you would call JCP&L or call the administration. Jillian met with JCP&L this morning. We periodically go out with DPW and count lights that are out. Let JCP&L know how many lights are out in town. It's something we routinely do. This light was addressed this morning. If you see a pole that has a number on it, you can call that number in. There are several poles in town that have lights on it that have numbers on them. You just call the number in, they know what pole is out. They do not have a system that tells them there's a light out. You would think in this day and age, they would have that technology, maybe one day they will, but as of right now, they do not.
Yeah.
So we're aware of that light being out, JCP&L is aware of it, and it will get changed.
Okay, well, and they need to be told, I'm sorry?
Let, well, let's let Faith finish, and then we'll have comments from council members on the public hearing.
Okay, I just wanted to say, when they put up their light, we don't want LED lights on our sidewalks. Okay, the other thing is, when the professional building was put in behind our house, for instance, I went to the meetings, I talked about the lights. They did something magical. They shielded the lights. The lights come right to our property line very softly. They don't come over onto our property at all. People have a right to night. And so this parking lot doesn't give people that. They were very understanding, and they fixed it, they took care of it immediately. The people facing the parking lot are going to be able to read at night in their bedrooms when the leaves come off the trees without electricity. I guess they'll save on their electric bill. And then the other thing I wanted to know, does Morristown have a historic preservation demolition regulations?
Yes.
So houses can't be torn down in a historic district without going through what?
It's a whole process where if a historic house is being knocked down, they have to make applications, get permits, and have the historical commission also review the plans.
They have to, I know they have to apply, and then what else do they have to do?
It's a whole zoning process. So they have to make the application to the board. The application goes to the historical commission. They review it. They offer their comments. There's a delay period where public can comment on it. So there's a whole process. This is a new ordinance that we passed about a month ago.
Oh, about a month ago.
Correct.
Okay. And how would the public be informed about the potential of a historic building being torn down?
If there's a application that's filed, it's going to either be addressed here or at a board level. And
So-
All right, well,
they'll
just
advertise.
one second, I'm sorry, Counselor. Faith, I'm sorry, we'll try to get you those answers after because you've
I'm
exceeded.
gone too long.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
5 minutes, so.
Sorry.
Want to give other members of the public an opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Ken Hoffman, 12 Hill Street, Morristown. Also here to talk about the parking situation on Hill Street. I believe our ward is the most densely populated ward in the town, with all of the apartment buildings. In addition to that, of course, there's the train station and all the restaurants, and a physical fitness shop just opened up near Blatchley Place. There's a big demand for parking in our area, and what it's doing is making it impossible for residents to use the spaces in front of their houses for parking, especially after 6 p.m. at night and weekends. Because people go into the city on weekends and they can leave their cars there as long as they want. There's no restriction. So what I have is a letter here that addresses that situation to the members of the town council. The current 2-hour parking restriction on Hill Street begins at 8 a.m. and ends at 4 p.m., thus allowing non-residents to begin parking on Hill Street at 2 p.m. for the train station, and the increasing number of bars, restaurants that you find on Elm Street, Morris Street, and Blatchley Place. As a result, there are no parking spaces available on Hill Street for residents in the evenings and weekends. I'm asking that the Town of Morristown Council modify the existing parking signage on Hill Street to provide protection similar to that found on Wetmore Avenue, which is 2-hour parking, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Sunday, and then permit parking only, 6 p.m. to 9 a.m., Monday through Sunday. I've talked to residents over there. They say it immediately corrected the problem on Wetmore. So I'd like to pass this around for you.
Thank you, Ken. Marge?
Margaret Brady, 1 Franklin Place. I can't believe I'm sitting in a row of 5 people who I've known for 40 years. And the people here who are the newcomers have only been here for 20 or 30 years. Our neighborhood loves each other. And I'm here to support my neighbors. And I promised my tenant on the 3rd floor that I would let you know that when he read the letter that went out to the neighborhood, he realized that the bright light that started shining in his 3rd floor bedroom was the light coming from the parking lot. So it's reaching all the way over to Franklin Place. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, come up, come on up. Oh, Billy.
Good evening. My name is Bill Byrne, and I live at 100 Franklin Street. And I'm here to talk about the lights and why it's important, because when we would come back in the parking lot, I mean, it would be hard to see. But also, too, maybe, so the people are not getting a glare, maybe they can put like some type of shield so it's not going like in people's houses, but those lights are like vitally important. Or you could get the kind of lights that, you know, when people are walking through, they turn on, and then when they're not walking through, they turn off. Just something to look at. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Hi, everybody. I am Kristen Ace, and I live at 24 Franklin Street. I live directly across from the Town Hall parking lot. I'm going to show you a picture. I'm going to send it around. This is what it looks like when I look out any of my front windows at the Town Hall parking lot right now. This is in the middle of a hurricane storm. So when there's no storm, it's even brighter. Faith isn't kidding. We no longer need nightlights in any part of my house. I can literally walk through my house as if it's daylight 24 hours a day now. I understand that we need to be safe, and I certainly want my fellow residents to be safe, but there has to be a way to amend these lights so that we are not so unbelievably negatively affected. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
I'm Pam Hasagawa, and I live at 29 Hill Street, and we've been there since 1975.
Can you get closer to the mic so we can hear you?
Even closer?
Well, good enough, I guess.
Well, I can't get any closer without kissing it.
All right, can we let Pam have her moment, please?
Okay, just 2 things on Hill Street. I noticed that many people park very thoughtfully of other people who park, and park, you know, maybe this far away from the car in front of them and that far away from the car behind them. But others park 5 or 7 feet away from the car in front of them or behind them, which often reduces the number of parking spots by at least 1, sometimes 2, depending on where they park. So the easy answer, maybe, is to put lines, parking lines for cars, just the way we do uptown. And then people wouldn't cram in, take too much space for their cars. Often there's room for 5 more cars if everybody just parked with thoughtfulness about the other people whose cars are there. And the second thing is, I used to always approach our house if I was coming from the east, down Franklin Place. to turn left onto Hill Street because we live on the western side of Hill Street. But about half the time there's an SUV or something big like that parked in that first place, and there's no way you can see whether anyone's coming up Hill Street or not. It's totally blind, and I have to open the windows even in the winter to see if I hear a car coming. I don't know if it's possible to assign one parking space that must be used by a four-door car or a sedan instead of a large vehicle. But I think that would save a lot of anxiety on the part of drivers. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if there are no more, are you up?
Hi, my name's Nancy Helterman. I live at 28 Franklin Street. I'm just here to add my voice to the issue of the lights in the parking lot. I live next door to Mrs. Ace, and we also, once the leaves are off the trees, are going to be experiencing a lot of light. Light's good, and I do appreciate the fact that we need it for safety in the parking lot. We walk across there fairly often, and at night it's quite dark, or it was, but no more. Please do something that will amend, change the direction, do something that will fix those lights so that they're not blasting us out. Thank you very much. And I also support the idea of doing something about the parking on Hill Street, because I use Hill Street and it is a difficult way to get around town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian Fox, 10 Franklin Place. Just wanting to echo the sentiment of my neighbors. I live on Franklin Place. However, all of the rooms that we have, I'm talking about the parking lights, same thing. It's glaring, it's incredible. All of our bedrooms, we now just close down, and the leaves are on the trees, but it still goes through the leaves. So I'm imploring in the same way that my neighbors are, some solution that is maybe directing them towards the town hall instead of towards the neighborhood might be a practical solution. I defer to the superior judgment. I will say this, that I did send a letter to the town, and they were unbelievably responsive, unbelievably just a really immediate, swift, attentive to my concerns, and so I really appreciate that. And I know that it takes some deliberation and some thought, so I would appeal to you to come to a solution that's mutually beneficial. I would also, in the effort not to create a bunch of ire with my neighbors here, if there is a solution to the Hill Street parking, what I wouldn't want to happen is it to be segregated so that everyone just comes on our street because we're connected to Hill Street. So it would have to be a sort of a little bit more of a fulsome response. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops.
Alan Ilias, 36 Franklin Street. Just to obviously give my support to my neighbors with respects to the lighting in the parking lot out here. It's glaring and it's awful, and we sincerely hope the council can fix it for us. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jessica Helterman, and my mom was Nancy Helterman.
Your address, please, for the record.
Yeah, same address as Nancy Helterman, 28 Franklin Street. And I believe that was up here earlier, because I live with her. Well, at any rate, the lights are going to be, once the fall happens, like she said, the lights are going to be shining right in my bedroom window, which is going to really negate a lot on privacy in my bedroom, because my bedroom window faces the parking lot. I'm like right in a tower on my house, and basically my windows, at least a couple of them, face towards the town hall parking lot. And when I have those blinds up, the sun comes in, but also the light from the parking lot lights will be coming right in my bedroom window, and oh my God, that'll be so bad when it gets to be fall and winter and we have no more leaves on the trees until the summer comes again in 2020. So it is really going to be horrible for me when I'm trying to sleep, when I'm trying to take a nap if I want to, whatever. It is not going to be a good thing. So if you could fix those lights, it would really be a good thing. That way I can get my sleep, and it'll also not negate on privacy and all that kind of stuff, because it'll be shining right in my window, and that it really does do away with privacy, and everyone needs that when they're trying to sleep or anything else. So, I mean, I just think it's reasonable to fix those lights so it's not bright light like you're on a stage or something.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
All right, so at this time, I'd like to ask before I close the public hearing, is there anybody else from the public that has something they'd like to say that is not connected with the lights? Because I thank you all for coming out, and I'm sure administration hears you, and we at the council level hear you, but we want to try to get on with the meeting, so we'll use that as a takeaway to see if we could come up with some kind of solution for the lighting, that will be beneficial to all.
Linda Carrington, 49 McCullough Avenue, and this is tangentially related to the issue being discussed, and that is if the town were to apply to the Board of Adjustment for this kind of lighting, we would turn you down because it doesn't comply with the dark sky standards. So if you're asking applicants to comply with dark sky standards, maybe the town should also. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. All right, at this time, I'd like to close the public hearing and hear from council members if you have any responses to any of the public input.
It's mostly my ward that came out tonight. I'll start. First off, with reference to Linda's comment with reference to the Airbnb, I will say the town's been very cooperative in terms of enforcing Airbnbs as they relate in single-family zones. There's been some instances with Airbnbs which would be required to be placed in a multifamily, in a single family, and they have been following up on that. We're very appreciative of that action that the town has taken on that. That's affected 2 of our neighborhoods so far in town. On the issue of the tax, I'll leave that to administration. With reference to Hill and I will say, if you're going to look at Hill, you should also look at Franklin Place with reference to resident-only parking. The town has started a query with reference to that, to Rich's letter. And the query they did start was looking at some of the apartment buildings on the street, the utilization of the apartment parking lots themselves by the residents of those lots, and what are the conditions and/or charges associated with those tenants using those lots. So the town has already started to look at that, and they have already given me their assurance that we're going to take a look at both Hill and Franklin Place with reference to the residential-only parking. But it's interesting because it does have that aspect where you have apartment buildings with very large parking lots in the back, and I'll also say on your next walk, look at the utilization of those parking lots. They're kind of nil right now, so we have to look at that also. I think everybody got the message about the lighting. I'll leave that to administration. And that's it, I think. Yep, that's it.
The only point I'll provide is regarding the question about striping parking lanes. I've looked into that on Grand Street, and unfortunately, the standard width of a car or length of a car is about 15 feet. So, but when the town or municipality stripes, they have to stripe it at 20 or 22 feet, which is regulation. So you essentially end up losing space. So the town has never done that. I don't expect it will.
Councilwoman Deep?
Just a follow-up question. There was a question about that the state requires a license for boarding houses for 1 or more residents. So can we just get clarification from what exactly that is, an answer to that resident's question? And then regarding the dark sky ordinance or the dark sky standards, I just, I I can't agree more. I'm a big supporter of the dark sky ordinances, but I think that there is a lot of light pollution. It's not just here, it's other parts of town. It would be interesting if we could look into that further. And certainly if the town isn't complying with what applicants have to abide by, there's a disconnect there. So it would be, I think, in the best interest for the community to be consistent.
But one other question when you guys address, on the historical demolition, I know we would receive notice if there was a planning board application or a board of adjustment application. Just clarify, if you could, what would happen if there was no site plan or board of adjustment application required?
Same process.
I'll get you an answer on that.
Yeah, it's
I'll take a look
complicated,
at
I
the
know. I
ordinance,
think
but
we
I
should
know you
take a
have
look
to
at it.
apply for a demolition permit.
You do? Okay.
Yes.
That's what
And
starts
But
it.
there's notice for
Starts
that?
it.
That's, and once that happens, then it has to go to zoning. So it does, there is a notification process, but let me double check that and I'll get it to you.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Veach.
Any other council members have comments from public hearing?
Just what is the state license procedure for boarding houses?
They're not allowed.
Is it for one or more, or two or more, or?
We'll have to get back to you as far as the procedure. We'll have to get back to you as far as the procedure is concerned. It's not a permitted use on Hill Street, but we can certainly get you that answer as far as boarding houses are concerned.
Thank you. Would the administration like to address any of the comments from the
You
public?
betcha. Let me start with the lighting. So I want everybody to go back, I guess, April, maybe before April. As you don't get the complaints that I get on safety, there was some concerns about the lighting in the parking lot by females. Didn't feel safe walking through the parking lot because of inadequate lighting. So for longer than before I became mayor, they've always had issues with lighting in this parking lot. So we decided to fix the lighting in the parking lot. And we definitely fixed it, and it made it very bright. However, there is easy fixes to these things on shields, and if we have to change the lighting, we'll change the lighting. What I find to be interesting is this is the first I'm hearing about it. I mean, my phone rings on a constant basis for picking up a twig in front of a house. But I didn't get a phone call that people were not happy with the lighting in the parking lot. I just find it to be a little bit odd. So we will address it. We will fix it. And as far as the dark sky lighting, the thing that triggered the ordinance for demolition was what the zoning board did by approving a house being torn down and another house being built. That triggered a huge meeting in my neighborhood at the Kellogg Club, and that started the ball rolling with an ordinance now that has teeth in it that will not only protect neighborhoods, but also give the opportunity for the community and the town to purchase a piece of property instead of it being demolished. So there's a lot that goes with it. It was vetted. It was talked a lot about at this council. It was clearly talked about at the Kellogg Club with a lot of people that were in attendance in the neighborhood, and that's what triggered that ordinance for us to write that ordinance and get the council to pass it. So I just find that ironic, too, that the zoning board is talking about lighting, but the zoning board is what triggered that ordinance to go into place. So we will address the lights. It was done based on safety concerns, and we'll figure a way to get them shielded down so it's not intrusive in the neighborhood. I just wish that maybe somebody could have reached out to my office and let us know, because the reason why we did it was out of safety purposes why we did that. And if everybody remembers, and I think Marge will remember, how dark the parking lot was for many years. And we took it upon us to fix, not just change the lights, but fix all the wiring that was neglected for decades in this parking lot. And also remember that we also lease spaces. We also have all the people that live at the Ambassador that we generously let park here in the parking lot. We have people that live on Elm Street that use our parking lot that walk to their apartment. We're also looking into, with Jim Campbell's office, on looking at actually who is using Hill Street. We are investigating how many people are not using the apartment buildings and the lots that are in the back of those buildings. I'm also having legal look at what are the rights of the community, of the town, and the government to put conditions on apartment buildings that may have had approvals back in the 60s or 70s with parking. So I understand that there's up to $250 a month they're charging people to park, and that's outrageous. So legally, we're looking at what we can do on a legal side. So we are addressing these issues, and we thank all of you for coming and letting us know that you don't need a nook at night to read your book. And I know how a light is. I have one outside my house. It's not an LED, so it's not as bright. LED lights are the future, but there are shield guards that can clearly aim the light in a direction where it's not intrusive into the neighborhood. As far as Franklin Place, we will absolutely take and make sure that we don't take one problem and make it another problem on another street. Hill Street has been an issue since I've been a councilman, and there needs to be a fix, and we'll work on it to get it to be a better place for everybody who parks in that area. Now, I could throw this out to the council, and you can all think about it. The business administrator's probably gonna think I'm crazy, but we do have an empty lot at the bottom of Elm Street. So we can always use it for public purpose, and that's parking in a neighborhood. If you want to relieve parking, we have an empty lot at the bottom of that street. We can half park it and half park in parking lot. So there's an opportunity for us to do a lot of things and look at a lot of different things. The councilor's probably thinking that's not probably the right idea, but it is something that the council can think about. It's public purpose.
Well, let's talk.
And
Yeah.
Bob said, let's talk. So, so that's that. And I think that pretty much covers everything I needed to talk about. And then I'll wait till my other stuff to talk about other stuff.
Okay, well, thank you, council members, for your responses to members of the public, and thank you, Mayor, as well, for being willing to work on all these issues. So at this time, we'll have mayor's proclamations and presentations. So we have a proclamation naming June 25th, 2019 as Hope One Project Police Assisted Addiction and Recovery Initiative Day.
Ready?
Ready. Do we have the representatives from?
We do. Corporal, Erica, let's see if I get this right. Valvano?
Is that right?
Oh, we doing the swearing in first?
Looks like it.
No, this is the proclamation first.
We're gonna do the
Proclamation.
proclamation or swearing in?
Proclamation. Who's here? Who's here for the proclamation? Oh, here she is, Hope One.
I didn't know they were coming out about the lights.
Come closer. Sure. Before I read this, give a quick brief overview to the council and to the public. This is in your hand.
Sure. I'm Erica Valvano. I'm a corporal with the Morris County Sheriff's Office. I'm here tonight for Sheriff James Gannon. He couldn't be here, so he sent me. I'm the coordinator of the program, and we just launched the Police Assisted Addiction and Recovery Initiative. So what that does is it allows law enforcement to help people struggling with addiction. So if somebody is struggling, they can come into Morristown Police Department, say, I need help with my addiction, and they will then be turned over to a DAYTOP certified peer recovery specialist. So it's giving our law enforcement another tool to help fight this opioid crisis. Obviously, we're not going to arrest our way out of it, so let's take a proactive approach and try and help people. So congratulations, Morristown. You're going to be the 7th agency in the county to become part of PARI.
Very nice.
I never feel safer than when we're doing a swearing in with police, because there's so many law enforcement here. So anybody from the public that's looking to eyeball me, I got a lot of police around. So we're all good. So come a little closer. I'm going to read this into the record. Whereas the Morristown Police Department has announced they will take part in a new initiative, Hope One Project PARI, Police Assisted Addiction and Recovery Initiative. And the mission is to aid those actively seeking police assistance when struggling with opiate or other substance use disorders to obtain resources and access treatment. And the Morristown PARI initiative enables police officers to immediately offer a pathway to recovery by providing a certified peer recovery specialist and a safe, private environment to discuss the help needed. and non-judgmental support and immediate and ongoing assistance by a professional peer recovery specialist will have a positive impact on the recovering and healing of an individual as well as their family. In the Morristown Police Department, partnering with the school district, interfaith leaders, and Municipal Alliance recognize the disease of addiction as a nationwide epidemic. And the committee plays a vital role in assisting the Morristown Police Department through joint crime, drug, and violence prevention efforts in the town of Morristown, and is supporting the PARI initiative. And whereas it is essential that all citizens in the town of Morristown be aware of the importance of drug addiction and crime prevention programs, and the impact that addiction recovery and advocacy will have on their quality of life, as well as reducing crime, drugs, and violence in the town of Morristown. Now therefore, I, Timothy P. Doherty, Mayor of the town of Morristown, hereby proclaim June 25th, 2019 as Hope One Project Police Assisted Addiction and Recovery Initiative Day in the town of Morristown. And as mayor, on behalf of all our residents and community leaders, do fully support the police department and the community group partnering with them in their implementation of PARI initiative, and for taking a leadership role in creating a positive impact on individuals and their families struggling with addiction, thus providing a clear path to recovery. Thank you so much for bringing this to our community. For those who do know me on a personal level, I've been active in the recovery part of life for over 30 years in this town. And this is something that I'm so grateful to see happening, because so many people need a second chance or a handout or a pat on the back or an arm to lean on to get to somewhere to get help. Because I tell you what, for those who do pay attention, opiate has destroyed a lot of our country, and it continues to wreak havoc on not just our youth. It has no boundaries, from adults to seniors to young children. So this is an important thing that we're doing right here, and I want to thank you, and please let the sheriff know that we're proud to be part of this and be partnering with you on this. Thank you very much. You get this. Okay.
All right, so at this time, I'd just like to change the order just a little bit while we have our officers standing in the back and our captain here and our public safety director. Instead of moving on to the report of the mayor and town officials, if it's okay with the council members, I'd like for us to move forward with the swearing in of the two officers. Okay. So at this time, I'll turn it over. We're going to swear in police officer. Oh, I thought she gave. Just, I think.
Just gonna do the swearing?
I'm sorry, Counselor, are you going to do the?
Yes.
Okay, thought I saw that. So at this time, we're going to do the swearing in of Police Officer Joseph Ferris. Can we have Joseph Ferris come up front, please?
Good evening, Council President, Mayor, Council President, members of Council. I just want to read Officer Ferris's bio before we begin with the swearing in. Officer Ferris grew up in Green Township. He attended Newton High School. He played tennis, graduated in 2011. Afterwards, he went on to Centenary University, where he studied criminal justice for 4 years, moved to Morristown and began working at the Morristown Communications Center as a dispatcher answering 911 calls. He was hired in January of this year by the Morristown Bureau of Police, attended the Morris County Police Department, and graduated in June of 2019. Also, during interesting note, during the time he was in the police academy, his brother was also in the fire academy. So they're both going through the academy at the same time, but on different sides of the house, so to speak. States it's an honor for him to go through the academy with his brother. He's also part of a big law enforcement family. Sister currently works in Morris Plains. His dad is retired Newark police officer, as well as his grandfather is retired from Newark Police Department. He's in the FTO program. We're very proud to have him on board. Officer Joseph Ferris.
Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Joseph Ferris,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of Police Officer, Morristown Bureau of Police,
Police Officer, Morristown Bureau of Police,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations and welcome.
You want to do the honors? Call up your next.
I'd like to call up Officer John Lombardi. John Lombardi grew up in Morris Plains. Always spent a lot of time in Morristown. He played basketball at the NABE, in the neighborhood house. Graduated from Morristown High School in 2006, was a member of the state championship baseball team. After high school, went on to become a teacher's assistant at Montgomery Academy of Basking Ridge, a school offering services to those students ages 5 through 21, experience social, emotional, and educational challenges that cannot be met in their local or regional school district. John thoroughly enjoyed his work at the school and plans to always remain in touch with his fellow faculty and students. John currently lives in Morristown with his wife, Brianna, and they're expecting their first child in September. In January of 2019, John was hired by the Morristown Bureau of Police. He was a member of the 92nd class of the Morris County Police Training Academy, graduating also with Officer Ferris. John looks forward to commencing his new career, serving his community where he grew up in and truly loves. John also comes from a law enforcement family. His dad is retired Morris County Sheriff's Department captain. His stepfather is retired New Jersey State Trooper, as well as his brother is a current New Jersey State Trooper. Officer John Lombardi.
I, John Lombardi,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of
for the office of
Police Officer, Morristown Bureau of Police,
Police Officer, Morristown Bureau of Police,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you, officers. Thank you, Morristown's finest, for all you do. All right. Moving on now to report of the mayor, town officials.
Okay, Saturday, June 15th, there was a rabies clinic at Town Hall. We thank them for setting that up. We had the group that set that up. On June 16th, every Sunday through November 24th, does everybody know what that is?
What was
Farmers Market.
June 18th, the Cops and Riders, which is a great event uptown, was canceled because of the rain. I think their next one is,
Tonight.
there's a flyer. I think there's a flyer on the next one is
July 6th.
So try to attend, it's a lot of fun. The cops do a really good job with it. I like the Cops and Riders. So it's a good event. Some great cars.
What time is it, Mayor?
I believe it's 6:30 to 9 p.m. Okay? June 26th, that will be tomorrow. I will be in attendance of the graduation for the high school. The 27th, meet me in Morristown. Michael's not here. Is he on the phone?
Yes. Elms. Councilman Elms.
Never mind. All right, Mike, I'm just going to announce meet me in Morristown. Again, it starts at 11 a.m. because they do the sidewalk sale. And then obviously we all know what kind of turnout it is for meet me in Morristown. It's a great event. If it rains, I believe they have it the next day on Friday. So the rain day will be the next day, but it's not going to rain. So I will not be in attendance Thursday. I will be out of the state for 3 days. So I will not be in attendance. Also, that evening is a workshop on Spring Street development. That will be, I believe, in the senior center,
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
So that's 6:30 on the 27th. Saturday, June 29th, 9 a.m. to noon, the Shade Tree Commission is a cleanup at Pocahontas Park. That'll be, all this stuff is going to be on the website and Facebook, so we'll get it out there. Again, that's the 29th for the Shade Tree Commission from 9 to noon. And then at 12 p.m. at noon, Mavis Tire is doing the grand opening. I don't know if anybody's been by the old Morristown Tire.
Oh, I just went and got air
Yeah.
yesterday morning.
They've done, they've really turned that into Davis Tire is like taking over the tire industry in the northern part of New Jersey, at least that I see. Everywhere I go, I see that they've taken over, and they have a very quality oriented business. So it's a good tire place, and it's a needed thing. You know, people need tires, and it's good to have it in our town.
Wait, when is the grand opening?
At noon on the 29th, that's at Mavis Tire on Morris Street. The 4th of July, Town Hall will be closed. It's a holiday. It's our great holiday, the 4th of July. At noon, the Morris County Tourism Bureau will celebrate on the green. So please, everybody who's in town, come and attend. It's pretty cool. It's a full day of George Washington dressing the troops, the whole 9 yards, and it's a fun day. It's a fun way to bring in the 4th of July. So come on up. And then the 14th, on Sunday the 14th, you have Diversity Day on the green. That's from noon to 4. That's July 14th. All this will be posted on Facebook and our website. Sunday, July 4th, that's Diversity Day, noon to 4. It's put on by via the Morris County Diversity Coalition. On Tuesday, the 16th, again, that's Cops and Rodders, car show on the green, that's 6:30 to 9. I have an announcement. Okay, starting the 1st of July to August 31st, the civil service exam opens up for police. So if you know anybody who wants to apply, take the civil service exam, or interested in a police career, Mr. Cochran, will they have more of this on your website? Can you come up for a second? Is the chief still here?
Yes, he's outside of the room.
You're gonna have this posted, more information getting out about this?
Yes, sir. We have distributed also to community-based groups through the NABE. It's on our Facebook website. It'll be up on our town website as well. And we're going to do a lot more outreach. We're going to do an open house here at in the police bureau, looking to do it probably sometime in July during the application period. But we're going to get the information out and have some informational sessions. And the NABE has agreed to host a couple of the information sessions as well.
Terrific, and it's a great opportunity for a career in Morristown. For those, what's the age cutoff?
Age 35.
So I miss it by a year or two. So I'm not going to be changing careers.
Oh, push it.
Thank you.
The last thing I can talk about very just briefly, I just want to talk about this briefly. So you all know our public safety director and our acting chief, Darnell Richardson. They have put together a quality of life task force, started a few weeks ago, and I can tell you that they are out there working hard. We have 104 summonses that have been issued on the weekend night for different local ordinances that have to do with the activity that takes place late at night in our downtown. we're very happy that our public safety director is taking our initiative about quality of life in our downtown serious and implementing these changes, and you're going to see a lot more of this. And we commend it. They're really focusing on quality of life. And I have statistics right here. This is just 3 weeks. 3 weeks, 104. I mean, you do the math if we did it for, and what it would be like. So I want to thank our public safety director, our chief of police, and the officers, the detectives that are out there dealing with quality of life issues in Morristown. And I want to personally thank them and support their initiative moving forward. On that note, I think that is it, Council President. Is that it? Anything from legal? That's it.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Moving on to council liaison reports. Do we have any council liaison reports tonight?
Parking Authority actually met last Tuesday. I was a little disappointed. They were supposed to be here this evening, given the presentation with reference to Lot 10. Disappointed because we also did quite a bit of notice for that meeting with a lot of public interest. It was being looked forward to. And much to the Parking Authority credit, they did a lot to prep for that meeting. Unfortunately, there is a delay in their financing, so they asked that they not come this evening. Still, I will tell you, I was a little bit critical of that decision. I don't see where a delay in financing actually delays the need for public input on the project. Administration actually agrees with me on this, too. And so they will be back. The good thing is that Mike and his team will be meeting with the community, smaller portions of the community that may be more directly impacted by the garage to address some of their concerns on a more personal and specific forum. But they will be here soon, and we'll look forward to their visit.
Thank you. Sure.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be that long, right?
They didn't say, and you know my frustration on this. Okay. Yeah.
Anything from the Environmental Commission?
Nothing from the Environmental Commission, but I just want to thank the administration for this amazing report that was at table on the, it's the first ever I've seen, the 2018 annual report for the Department of Code Enforcement. Wish I voted to create that department, but I didn't. But I just did vote to support the hiring of the director. But I just want to make notice of the statistics in here on animal control. So as you know, we do the canvas. The town does the canvas. We've talked about it before, about its effectiveness. I know when I first got on the council, there were 250 dog licenses. Now there are 697. So I just noticed that statistic now. I think it's pretty significant, pretty incredible. So I just want to thank you. I look forward to reading this report in full. Great job.
I think Al's here, right? Oh, there it is.
Oh.
But it's a team effort, right, Al? It is.
You may see that statistic change because now we're doing year licenses.
What about that? Council President, I did have one more thing.
Sure.
Discuss. Councilman and I just briefly had a conversation about it the other day. I want the public to start getting used to hearing the idea of plastic bags being eliminated. Yes. I'm not reading ordinance yet. We have one written. I just want to start having a conversation about it. We've talked to my environmental commission. We've been talking about it for about a year, kind of watching what some of the other communities have been doing. I think it has not made that move yet. If you believe eventually the state will move to ban plastic bags, I think though, as one of several leading communities in the state of New Jersey, I think it's an initiative we can all get our arms around if we do it the right way. I'm going to start having that conversation with the council. over the next couple of months with the Environmental Commission and with the council and see if we can come up with something that's palatable to the community, that the community can support. Obviously, plastics are an issue everywhere, not just plastic bags, plastic period. See what's going on in the ocean.
Styrofoam.
Styrofoam's next. So I think Maine has passed the whole state, they don't allow styrofoam or plastic bags. But several communities throughout the state are starting to go down that road. And I think that we've talked about it enough, and now it's time to have a serious conversation about it with you, the Environmental Commission, and the public, to get the support that we need to implement this. Because stores aren't going to want to immediately buy into this, but I think in the long term, I think we all have to play our role into trying to make some type of change in the environment. We all see what's going on right in front of our eyes with our weather, climate, and everything else that's going on. So I think it's a little thing we can do. That's it. Just wanted to put it in your head so you start thinking about it.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other reports from council liaisons?
Mayor, did you want to talk about the upcoming meeting that was scheduled with Airbnb? Because that was brought up, and I know that you've been working on that.
I do have, I had a scheduled meeting, Allison did 3 weeks ago. They actually had to cancel, the person who was bringing the Airbnb executive in got ill. They are rescheduled to come. I don't have the date in front of me now on my other phone. They will be back in. The councilwoman is meeting with me, with the representative there from Airbnb, with the consultant. So we will get a lot more information and be able to disseminate a lot more information. I'll, of course, have the lawyer there. And hopefully we'll have more information for the public. But they have reached out. So it should be, we have a date. July 23rd. Okay. And I'll have my phone, the administrator of their phone, because she knows where I am at every given moment. I think that's it.
All right, are there any calendar events that council members want to make the public aware of?
Yeah, it may or may not be a calendar event, but essentially, there's a sign on Quarry Road that Quarry Road will be closed beginning July 1st. Do we know? I am assuming they're closing it to install the storm drains that are sitting at that intersection there.
It's a sewer improvement project related to the development on Hanover. More information will be disseminated. The pre-construction meeting just occurred like yesterday.
Okay.
So I'm even still being debriefed about the plans.
Yeah, that's right.
I just got the email this morning, so.
Yeah, if we could put a NIXO out just to let
course.
people have been asking
Oh,
about
there'll be plenty of information out.
Ideally, it's not.
The most important thing we want to make sure is that it has as least impact as possible.
Right.
So certainly doing anything over the summer months that would impact Quarry Road while school is out is ideal. But all the information will be out as soon as I have it.
Great, thank you.
Council President, we received, all of us, communications from the Friends of Foots Pond neighborhood group about the deteriorated nature of the pond and how quickly it's been filling in. So the question that was asked was what the status is of the hydro raking permits and what the estimated date of completion of that is. Do you have a report on that?
I don't have any specifics. I know very generally that the permitting process takes several months, so I don't expect the permitting to be done before the end of the year. That's a DEP issue. So we don't anticipate hydro raking to be initiated until next year.
Is there any way we can expedite the permit process?
It's DEP. We have to wait on them, and their process takes several months.
I mean, I feel like we've been talking about this for months. Have you taken a look and seen the pond? The fill-in is all the way to the bridge right now.
Understood.
So,
unfortunately, we are at the mercy of DEP.
and what's the status of the idea that the pond keeps growing with invasives, the cattails, and is something leading to the accelerated growth of all that? Do we know why it's just filling in so quickly?
That I certainly cannot speak to specifically, but I can certainly have someone get back to you, and certainly I would.
Just
think the
seems like
Environmental
we
Commission-
thought it was further down the road, and now it's filling in much more rapidly, like it's on steroids or something.
That's not my area of expertise, but I can certainly.
We'll get an answer. Allison, it could be as simple as having 4 inches of rain in an hour, which causes this. I don't know, with the silt moving down from all the way from the golf course all the way down through the back, how it comes down to the waterway. We'll get an answer for you.
Yeah, and if we could just, Mayor, if we could try to expedite the
Push DEP to do anything. I think it's just not gonna happen. I'll try, but I don't, I'm not optimistic about moving DEP faster, but I'll try. I'll personally call the gun. Don't print that thing.
All right. All right, moving on to regular business.
We have 2 ordinances on the agenda for introduction this evening. Ordinance number O-27-2019, an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the town of Morristown, Chapter 7, Traffic.
I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance number O-27-2019.
I'll second it.
If there are no comments from council
Well,
members.
maybe we should explain to the public what the change is. Do you want to? Okay, this was with reference.
Reference to the resident.
This is the resident guest parking.
Yes.
And going from 1 to 4.
Yeah, we're going back to the 4 laminated visitor passes. So
Right.
instead of the paper passes, remember the yellow visitor passes that were just go to Staples and you could print 30 and get them out? So now the town has these new laminated visitor passes, which are not going to be able to duplicate. And I got several complaints, and so did other council members, that 1 wasn't sufficient, and they didn't want to have to purchase 5, so we went back to the 4.
But along those lines, I think it's important to say it's good to go back and forth a little bit sometimes on some of this legislation. Because I will also say, and I'll give credit, because we also listen to other people. Because by going to 1, for example, the residents on King Street actually pointed out the fact that going from having those guest passes so close to the train station and going to the 1 was a night and day difference on King Street. So it was actually, so it's going to change street, but I think it's something we continue to monitor. Yeah.
For training and things like that. I think when we had people that were not living on my street that were using the yellow passes, because we all watched where they walked to. Nothing fell that far. So I think that was a big problem. Listen, we started with the visitor passes, it's evolving, it's getting better, it's the way it's supposed to. Government's not supposed to just stay stuck in something that doesn't work, so we're making it better. And who knows, maybe there's another change in 2 or 3 years, but this is definitely, I think, the right thing to do, and I appreciate the council changing the back to those types of passes.
All right, thank you. Call the, what?
We did it.
Right. Then you second.
You seconded.
So call the
On
question,
the
please.
introduction of O-27-2019, Councilman Armington.
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis.
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb.
Yes.
Councilman Elms. Yes. Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Foster.
Yes.
Ordinance 27-2019 has been introduced properly and will be considered further after a public hearing on July 16th. Ordinance number O-28-2019, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 30 Land Use Regulations.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number O-28-2019.
I'll second it.
Any questions or comments from council members?
Just wondering what promulgated this particular ordinance, amending, regulating the use of basements and attic space?
So while our zoning officer comes up, I'll give you a preemption. So one thing that we've discovered as code enforcement has had to deal with enforcement of overcrowding and other types of complaints, we've frequently come across homeowners that have tried to install additional living space either in basements or in attics. And our current ordinance is silent on whether that's a permitted use, and so this is an attempt to clarify that and to make enforcement more easy. And Jim Campbell, our zoning officer, is here to speak
James
more
Campbell.
specifically.
This has come about mainly, the trend we're seeing is people are buying single-family houses as an investment for rentals. And if you read some of the caveats of this, don't apply if it's owner-occupied. But right now, if you had a rental house and wanted to install another kitchen in the basement and/or a bathroom, there's nothing to prevent you from doing that. So this will hopefully stop that. Also, if someone wants to add a bedroom, we're going to require that they have to provide off-site parking, one space for each bedroom. So either there'll be, this most likely is going to have more folks ending up before the Board of Adjustment for approvals.
It's Board of Adjustment. Okay.
Ordinance, if you're gonna add a bedroom, and we know how Hill Street's a perfect example, you've heard about it, then you're gonna have to provide parking. If you can't provide parking, you're gonna have to seek that relief from the variance board. And most, I mean, you don't, if you're on Hill Street and you're trying to put another bedroom in, Hill Street's gonna come out and say, well, it's not parking to begin with. Just using Hill Street as an example. And the Board of Adjustment is going to say, well, there's no room to park there, so I would think they would deny the variance, the application. So I think it's the right thing to do. I think this is another example of us continuing to look at how we can better our ordinances and laws to strengthen our code and enforcement without displacing people, not only displace people, but I think Jim hit it on the thing. You're buying a home, single-family home, and you have a basement, you're finishing your basement with a kitchen and bathroom and a bed. That's not perfect.
Something else this ordinance does is it strengthens the fines for violations of this ordinance. It increases them to make them more stringent. So if people that do attempt to violate the ordinance, instead of facing a $500 fine, they'll face a $1,000 or $1,250 fine, potentially.
So it's not saying you can't add the kitchen to the basement and the bedroom. You just have to go before the Board of Adjustment, correct?
Right, you could make an application before the Board of Adjustment, and, but that way, they have to give public notice, and it's a public meeting, and, the board could.
Right, and that's the key. So the public then gets noticed. All the residents that live around that property get noticed that they're going to do something to that property, where before, they weren't. It was silent.
Correct.
It was silent, so your neighbors wouldn't know you were doing it.
Right, it's a one-bedroom apartment, a one-bedroom house, or it's a one-family house, and now you've essentially put an apartment in your basement.
Exactly.
It's like, well, what's the point?
What
It's
if
like, wow.
it's like an in-law suite or, mother-in-law?
Well, you go to the Board of Adjustment.
It still would require a Board of
Okay.
Adjustment.
All right.
Did I read this correctly, though? If you put just a bedroom without a kitchen, is that a Board of Adjustment application?
If it's owner-occupied and you can provide parking, no.
No.
You have to provide
Parking. Off-street parking for the extra bedroom.
Yes.
So if you have a family of 4 with 2 bedrooms and they want to put a kid in the basement,
You either got to provide parking or go to the board.
even if the kid doesn't drive or, see, this is where I was, see, the way I was reading this is what we were trying to prevent was actually creating multifamily homes in single-family zones, correct?
That's what we're trying to do.
That's what you're trying to do, which is actually a violation in and of itself.
Well, it's
No.
not, because if you're looking at it like, if you have a 15-year-old in that bedroom, well, why should I be requiring? Because you don't know that. We're gonna have a family come up and say, we're putting a 14-year-old, no, we're just gonna put a bedroom in.
Once it's
You're gonna put a
approved,
bedroom-
it's approved.
If you, yes, if you put a bedroom in, you gotta come up with a parking off-site. Because we're dealing with Grant and Belleville and Bellevue and, Columba, Hill Street, many streets in Morristown that there's just no parking.
Yeah.
So if you keep adding without noticing, then it's a problem.
I'm just thinking out loud. I see what you're saying, and I see where you're going with this. But again, the other perspective of it is the issue with large families, children from college moving back. How many of us have kids living in the basement? It's that kind of.
So they would waive it,
because-
right?
Well,
The
I
Board of
guess it's
Adjustment could
the
waive
the
it?
waiver, well, the Board of
They
Adjustment
could.
could hear it, and then they could make a decision. It just, we're adding a step that this homeowner then has to,
Public gets notice.
yeah. Mhm.
Public gets notice. Your neighbors are all gonna know what's going on in your neighborhood, which I think is important. You know, especially if you're having problems with parking in your neighborhood. You know, and you know what? You gotta, if you're putting a bedroom, let me be more clear. Jim, you might be able to back me up on this. You have to have 2 ways of in and out. You've gotta, and if you don't, you have to have certain window sizes. You
That's a
have
good
to
point.
have certain ways you can get out of windows. There's a lot that goes
Yeah,
with
that's
just
a
putting
good
a
point,
bedroom
sir.
in the basement.
Correct.
It's not just, I'm gonna put a bedroom in, put my 15-year-old kid down there. You've gotta have a way in and a way out, and it can't be a certain amount of feet within, next to each other. And if you don't have that, you have to have certain size windows, there's a lot that goes with it.
Yeah.
And this is just, I think, give them a level of more of getting their arms around what's going on in the properties for safety for one, and two is illegal requirements.
Yeah, true. The benefit outweighs any of the imposition we're putting on the homeowners.
No, and the main thing is non-owner occupied. That's where we're saying they're coming in, they're making every space they can into a bedroom.
It's not so much you.
And
No,
it's-
well, I
and
understand what
it's,
you're trying
you
to
know,
do.
It's the people who don't live there, it's the person who buys the property and then uses it as an investment property,
Yeah.
not somebody who's
No, you're right.
living there.
Right.
That's really what happens.
Correct.
Thank you for
And then they use it
clarifying.
as an Airbnb.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
No, really.
Yeah, really.
Circle
back. Ba-dum-bum.
On the introduction.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Sorry.
It's okay.
On the introduction of O-28-2019, Councilman Armington.
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis. Yes. Councilwoman Deeb.
Yes.
Councilman Elms. Yes. Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Foster.
Yes.
Ordinance 28-2019 has been introduced properly and will be sent to the Planning Board for a consistency review during its July 25th meeting, which tentatively schedules it for public hearing and adoption on August 13th. We have 6 ordinances for public hearing and adoption on the agenda. Ordinance number O-21-2019, ordinance rescinding ordinance O-4-2013 and deleting a designated handicap parking space on Lake Road from section 7-40.2 of the Code of the Town of Morristown.
I'll second. At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing for ordinance O-21-2019. Seeing no members of the public wishing to be heard, close the public hearing and call the question, please.
On the adoption of 21-2019, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis? Yes. Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms? Yes. Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Ordinance O-21-2019 is adopted. Ordinance O-22-2019, an ordinance amending and supplementing the Code of the Town of Morristown, Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 40.2, handicap parking on streets for private residences, to add a dedicated handicap parking space for a resident of 27A Hazel Street.
I'll move it.
Second.
At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing for ordinance number O-22-2019. Seeing no members of the public wishing to be heard, I'll close the public hearing. Call the question, please.
On the adoption of 22-2019, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms? Yes. Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
O-22-2019 is adopted. Ordinance O-23-2019, ordinance rescinding ordinance O-37-2016 and deleting a designated handicap parking space on Grant Street from section 7-40.2 of the Code of the Town of Morristown.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing for ordinance number O-23-2019. Seeing no members of the public wishing to be heard, I'll close the public hearing. Call the question,
On the
please.
adoption of O-23-2019, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis? Yes. Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms? Yes. Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
O-23-2019 is adopted. Ordinance O-24-2019, an ordinance of the Town of Morristown and the County of Morris, State of New Jersey for compensation for management/non-union positions in the Town of Morristown, New Jersey, and amending all ordinances concerning such compensation heretofore adopted.
I'll move it.
Second.
At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing for ordinance number O-24-2019. Seeing no members of the public wishing to be heard, I'll close the public hearing. Call the question.
On the adoption of O-24-2019, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis? Yes. Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms? Yes. Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
O-24-2019 is adopted. O-25-2019, ordinance appropriating $487,000 from the Sewer Capital Improvement Fund for various sewer improvements in and by the town of Morristown and the county of Morris, New Jersey.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing for ordinance number O-25-2019. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Call the question, please.
On the adoption of 25-2019, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis? Yes. Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms? Yes. Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
O-25-2019 is adopted. Ordinance number O-26-2019, an ordinance of the town of Morristown and the county of Morris, state of New Jersey, for compensation for the elected mayor, town council members, and council president in the town of Morristown, New Jersey, and amending all ordinances concerning such compensation heretofore adopted.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing for ordinance number O-26-2019. Seeing no members of the public wishing to be heard, I'll close the public hearing. Clerk, please call the question.
On the adoption of 26-2019, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis? Yes. Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms? Yes. Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Ordinance O-26-2019 is adopted. There are 13 resolutions for adoption on the agenda this evening. Does any member of council wish to pull one or more for separate consideration?
I'd like to
I'd like
pull
to pull-
101
Second.
Wait, pull which one?
101?
or 101.
So at this time, I would ask for a motion to approve Resolution R89 through R100-2019 en masse.
I'll make a motion to approve R89 through R100 en masse.
I'll second.
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis? Yes. Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms? Yes. Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster?
Yes.
Okay, we have Resolution R-101-2019, a resolution approving the application of Morristown Restaurants LLC, doing business as the Famished Frog, for a place-to-place transfer expansion of premises of plenary retail consumption license number 1424-33-038-004, located at 1420-24 Washington Street, Morristown, New Jersey.
I'll move it.
Second.
Councilman?
So it's not exactly clear what the applicant is applying for here. I do see the outdoor area. I also see that it's not clear what's pre-existing and what's proposed. I see that 2 of the 4 buildings are proposed to have basement areas that are licensed, which is clearly problematic. I guess at this point, there's no real specificity in the application. Given the council's adoption of a zoning ordinance that specifically addresses restaurants with liquor licenses and nightclubs in 2016, which was transferred over into the 2018 zoning code. It's not clear if this application is a restaurant with a liquor license or if with the proposed expansion, if it is a nightclub. It is also not clear if the proposal would satisfy all the zoning conditions of a non-conforming use in the TC zone. For example, parking is one of the conditions, and I don't see any sign of any parking thing. So, with all these deficiencies in the application, I think it's probably better if the applicant just goes back and puts together a thorough site plan. I believe the the zoning change requires a site plan, which essentially follows the ABC approval to the planning board, and then if they want to change the site plan, then they have to go back to the ABC. None of that is in here. So I would, I guess, encourage the council to deny the application and ask them to come back with a more thorough application, which takes all these things into consideration.
I would tend to agree with Stefan. You know, I think the town is taking, and we have chosen to take a position where we put much more scrutiny on these place-to-place transfers, and I think the application before us is wholly deficient. It lacks a tremendous amount of detail. It's not clear where they're expanding into. It's not clear what's going to be the scope of the operation. Are they going into basements? What are going to be the sound controls if you are promoting an outside activity, especially on that block where we have hotels being built, we have additional condominiums being built, we have residential uses across the street. What's going to be the sound impact on the neighbors in the area also? But the application, I agree with Stefan, are there going to be multiple bars? Are we creating a facility here that truly isn't just one institution, but truly might be multiple institutions? We don't know by the paperwork that we have in front of you. What I would recommend is that we deny the application that we have tonight, and if the applicant so chooses to put another application in with greater detail and with more thorough explanation and come before us with an explanation exactly what is being done, let the public comment on it, then you might consider a new application. But this application, I think, is, on its face, lacks any kind of detail where we should do nothing else but deny it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Deeb.
Just want to thank Councilman Armington and Iannacone. I echo their concerns and sentiment. I don't want to repeat everything that was said, but I do echo the concerns about parking. And ironically, we just passed an ordinance tonight that dealt with basement extensions on residential properties. I find it ironic that we're looking at something like this, although I know it's a commercial use. We clearly had a clause in there about parking, and here it's very unclear about parking and capacity in general. I think in looking at the application, the capacity is unclear to me, what we would be adding. The policy setting that we've made already in the past would lead us not to approving this evening without more clarity and more discussion. And also, I have to question the process in general, because in the past, we've had ABC hearings to look at these. Before we started consolidating it as part of the council meetings, we did have a separate ABC hearings to look at things like this. I understand there were no objections, but when you start looking at the notification being 200 feet, and you look at where this establishment is in 200 feet, it's mostly businesses. Right. So I really sincerely wonder and doubt whether or not residents in my ward and in yours and bordering yours even know about this. So I agree with my colleagues and would urge that we deny this until further clarification.
May I? I agree with my colleagues, and I just want to add, tonight Mayor was speaking, even though he didn't give us details about the initiative of quality of life. And without having a full information on what is going to happen there, we don't know what will be the impact on quality of life in our town and neighborhoods around that. So I agree that we have to deny that tonight.
If I can just add one more thing. In the past, we've sat through these hearings, and there's been detailed plans with tables, chairs, entrances, exits. And when I looked at this plan, I had to, I was trying to see if what I was really looking at, and I couldn't discern any of that information. So definitely need more clarity.
Okay. Well, thank you for your
On the adoption
input.
of R-101-2019, Councilman Armington.
No.
Councilwoman Davis.
No.
Councilwoman Deeb.
No.
Councilman Elms. No. Councilman Iannacone.
No.
Councilman Silva.
No.
Council President Foster.
No.
The resolution is denied.
Okay, moving on to unfinished business. We have the old business of the rent leveling board. So, do you want to,
Well, we
it was-
put the group together, Toshiba, myself, and Allison met, with reference to charging the rent leveling board with an additional task, which may not necessarily be part of the rent leveling ordinance, but actually creates a forum for landlord-tenant disputes. We get a lot of calls. I think the building code enforcement has done a very good job in the last year with working with our communities in terms of code enforcement. But I think and Al was actually part of the discussion also, is we create a forum where landlords and tenants can bring their disputes if they choose to. It's not binding, it's not mandatory, it does not take away any other course of action they may have the legal right to take. But what it does, it creates a forum which basically creates a properly spirited, properly fair way for both landlords and tenants to get a perspective of what each other are talking about with a third party's opinion as to what their dispute may be. The suggestion is that we keep the composition of the board similar to the rent leveling board. Rent leveling board has not met, we found out, since the Cressatello administration. That's what they told us. What we would suggest that we have on here is continue to have one landlord, one tenant, but then the three other people be objective property owners in town that are neither landlord nor tenant to give the advice, along with two alternates. So what we'd like to do is ask the division, the law division, to actually work with our Jody to bring back, maybe at our next meeting, such an ordinance. If you need help, let us know.
Thank you, Councilman Iacone, and thank you, Councilwoman Deeb and Al for partaking in the meeting and helping, and Wayne, I see you, Wayne, back there, for helping us get a better understanding of how we could better serve the residents in Morristown via the rent leveling board. All right, do council members have anything for new business?
It's a long meeting.
Well, I just want to report an update on the proposed B&B ordinance, because Stefan and I have been working diligently on that. And so where it is right now is with the town planners and the planning consultants, because they want to make sure that the language is consistent with the new master plan and the new zoning code. So we will, and also have the benefit of meeting with the Airbnb before we introduce it as well. So we're hoping that we will introduce that in September.
Great.
And then, Council President, I have one quick question. I had heard that the sidewalk extension project was starting in Foots Pond, going to the Woodside development in across from, at the edge of the Woodside development, so extending that sidewalk.
James Street sidewalk project, yes.
James, can you give us a report of that?
When are they starting? Saw cutting tomorrow.
Oh, okay. So when is that looking to be completed?
Couple weeks.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, at this time, if there are no other comments from, what?
No, not yet.
Oh.
We're spending a lot of time in the township, aren't we?
Maybe we should be one
They've
town.
inserted themselves.
I mean, with that, the emphasis of so much coming from the township here, telling us they were going to build sidewalks.
I remember that.
Maybe they didn't understand geography, Mayor.
Is it my understanding, Anthony, that we're building sidewalks?
Maybe they don't know the geography.
That was
And just since we're at it, just one other thing, I'm sorry to Sheba. See, you started it, though. We also, because I think we take some time off in the summer with only one meeting maybe in
Yes.
August.
July
That's
and
the case.
August is one, I believe.
Well, whatever, okay. But if we could, the marijuana ordinance either, so Yeah, we should try to get that done before we break for summer.
Yeah, there's going to be a bill that's going to be passed on Thursday.
Yeah, but I still think it's a zoning that we're doing, but even with the bill, because I've been keeping abreast of it, I think the zoning is important, because all we suggested as a subcommittee here was that it be medical use with research in the hospital zone, which I think was and again, the maps and everything that the administration had ready for our meeting kind of was keeping it out of residential areas, away from certain areas. It was I think it's a very clean way we're approaching it, which I think is good.
Also, Councilman Iacona and I were in attendance last night in the township on Wickley Road.
And they are benefiting. We're talking about, they are benefiting because of the new speed enforcement that we're doing on Morris Avenue, and we're doing it on several other streets in town, McCullough and what have you. And with the increase of ticketing, it has truly slowed down the traffic on those roads. And the township is actually benefiting from that. That's one thing I came out of that meeting with. Yeah.
Council President, our meetings for the summer are July 9th and August 13th. Just to confirm,
July 16th and August 13th.
July 16th and
August 13th?
Correct.
15th?
Did you say
13th or 15th?
13.
13th, okay.
July 16th, August 13th.
And the redevelopment meeting is scheduled for the Thursday of both of those weeks to allow or free up vacation weeks. So scheduled them both in the same week.
So 18th and 15th.
Can we publish that? Because the public does take interest in all those dates. And if we're changing them from the usual, second and fourth Tuesday.
It was
or the
published in
first
January.
Thursday, I know, but
There's another.
it's nice to get the message out there. I mean, we do a good job communicating. Let's keep it up.
All righty.
Motion to close.
I was gonna say, is anybody ready to go home?
All in favor?
All right.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right.
Meeting adjourned.